Hello everybody and welcome back to Throttle Grotto. This week we're going to tear into the carbs on the Datsun and see just how bad they are after this car's been sitting for at least 10 years. Stay tuned! This week I have a confession for you guys. I confess that I cheated on you guys with these carburetors. Well, just one of them. I couldn't handle two at the same time. See what I did there? So I really wanted to see how bad it was going to be getting into these carbs before I made the video so that I'd know what parts I needed to order. And to my surprise, the front carb was not too bad. Now, I have not done anything with the rear carb. So I was trying to cover up my indiscretions with the microfiber towel so that you guys wouldn't see what I'd done, but I figured that's just not going to work. So I already pulled the front one apart, and we'll get a look inside here, and you can see like, I'm really surprised. I keep getting surprised by this car and how good a condition it really is in for how long it's been sitting. So all I've done to this car is I've pulled the dome off where the carb, I'm not sure what the technical term for that side of it is. There's a side that has the piston that moves up and down with the needle and everything in it, and then the other side is the float bowl. So I pulled the top of the float bowl off, I pulled the dome out, and this is what it looks like inside after I just wiped it out. Like a little bit of brake clean and I just wiped it out. So I'm really amazed. So you can see down in, there's the float bowl. And I'll see if I can do this, if I can hold the camera and the flashlight and pull this out. I mean, look at how clean that is in there. There's no corrosion on the needle. This piece is in really good condition. Like, I didn't even strip a screw out taking these carburetors apart, which is just amazing to me. Now I'm going to replace the hardware and I'm going to replace the float bowl gaskets, but other than that, these carbs are in really good shape. I don't understand it. So I'm going to pull. So my goal is to pop off this passenger side or rear carb, take a look inside of it, see how bad it is. Hopefully it just needs a quick clean out, and then I'm gonna polish up the dome because that's, I don't know, because that's just what people do, I guess. And then we're gonna see about putting some fuel in this thing and seeing if we can get this, get it to turn over and fire. We'll see. I did not fake that at all. I had not touched any of those screws yet, and you saw how easily that whole thing came apart. I'm really, really surprised. Sorry, my hat's all off center there. I'm really, really surprised at how easily this carb is coming, or just how in general how this car is wanting to be worked on and coming back to life. So I pulled this whole float assembly out, and it looks like someone has upgraded the floats at some point in here. I think they used to be brass. So now this has the nice rubber, I guess solid rubber floats or whatever. I guess they would be hollow if they were going to float. But both the floats have been upgraded, and like you can see, like, I'm not faking this. So you can see how clean it is down in that float bowl. There's almost no residue in there at all, which is amazing. So I've got brand new gaskets for the float bowls. I've already replaced a bunch of the fuel lines, so the fuel lines are good. I'm going to run this car off of a just a gas can for now, because I still haven't had the gas tank inspected and I still haven't blown out the fuel lines. So no point in putting a crappy tank, or there's no point in getting residue back into these carbs after I've already cleaned them out. So the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to, I guess, just shine up this other dome with my drill and the polisher, and then we'll put everything back together, and we'll try pumping some fuel through this thing, throw a battery in it, and see what happens. Alright, so our carbs are back together. I still need to put dashpot oil down in the cylinders here, or inside the domes, and I need to pump fuel through everything. I still need to put the spark plugs back into the other side of the engine, because those are still sitting out there on the cowl. But I think we're getting fairly close to attempting to turn this car over and see what happens. So I'm going to put you guys on quick mode and get some of these things done, and we'll see how much I can get done before I have to go to work tonight. All the new fuel lines are hooked up, at least on the engine compartment side. So I'm going to get my gas can. I'm going to set my gas can up, and I'm going to start drawing with my little suction device. I'm going to start drawing fuel through the fuel pump. Start drawing fuel through the carbs and see if I can get fuel all the way through to this end of the engine. Alright, so the suction device worked. I actually went to the overflow tube on the carburetors instead of the return hose, which I'm just going to stick down into my little Mighty Vac container here. Sometimes it's hard doing this stuff with one hand. Okay, so my fuel return is going to go down into the Mighty Vac. I've got fresh fuel coming in from the gas can, and then I've got nice, clean, brand new gas right here in the tubes that go from the float bowl over to the carburetor body. So float bowls are good. The only thing I got left to do is put a battery in it and hit the key and see what happens. Now, if it starts, I'm not going to run it very long. I'm just going to see if I can hear some ignition and maybe see if it'll idle for just a moment, and then I'm going to shut it down. So, and if it doesn't start, I'm going to have to figure out why. As you can see from that, I hit the key, went to the start position. You can hear just a very faint click in the starter, which tells me that this starter is completely seized. So that is a problem. Fortunately, I kind of thought this might be the case. And I picked up the starter. I got it on Amazon, so I figured if I didn't need it, I could return it. But chances are I was probably going to need it. I had a receipt that the last time the starter was replaced was in the 90s. So what I have here is actually a Nissan forklift starter. And it's a gear reduction starter. But since they use these engines in some forklifts, they got this fancy high torque starter that bolts right into these cars. So now I have to swap this out. Alright, so for those of you that don't know where the starter is located in this vehicle, it is in a very terrible place. It is actually, if you can see down in here, let's see if you guys can see the starter. I can get some light on it. It is down there, basically sandwiched between the frame rail and behind the exhaust down tube, which means it's not going to be terrible to replace, but it's not going to be great either. One of you guys commented in the last video about an easy way to replace the starter, and I think that involves lifting the engine up out of the way so that it'll slide out. So that means I don't have time to do that today. I still have a 12-hour shift I have to work tonight, a very busy day tomorrow, and then another 12-hour shift after that. So that unfortunately is going to be the end of this video. So in addition to that, those of you guys that have been following on Instagram may notice there's a new door here. It's another thing that's taken up a bunch of time this week. I'm still ordering a few more parts, but I got a garage door on Craigslist. Those of you that remember the old brown one, the whole bottom was rusted out, and I think it was that corner was rusted so bad that it kind of broke away and pushed out when I went to pull the door in a little bit, so that I could make sure that it was closed and the wind wouldn't grab it. So I got this door on Craigslist for free, and it's in there. I'm still missing a bracket over here, which will be here as soon as Amazon delivers it, and then I've got to do the whole thing of making sure that this garage door works. But I really need a garage door, and I couldn't afford $1,000 for a new 16-foot garage door. So I've had to work on that a little bit this week, so that's why I'm behind on the Datsun. I really wanted to fire the car today, but it's actually good that I can't. And that is because I really need to pull the distributor and turn that gear to grind the oil pump up so that I can pump oil into the motor before I run it. And I was getting in a hurry today, trying to get it done before the work cut off, and I feel like that's a bad idea. So the starter probably saved me some troubles down the road. So next time we're going to prime the oil pump and run the starter, and hopefully this thing will fire up and run, and hopefully I'll be able to open the garage door by then, because right now I can't. So until next time, get out there and work on something.